Yeah, holy! What's good, everybody? It's your boy Romanpuss here with the brand new Uta Pop Singer Idol V3, the Dark Runner / Defender unit. She's an absolute monster. She is potentially the best unit in the game at the moment, who's going to give you a run for your money. Now, if you have not familiarized yourself, as always, with her skills and traits, please do so right now and get a little look up for the damage, and I will not be going over these all specifically within this video. So, without further ado, let's get into the overall Uta guide. First things first is the stat recommendations. As always, her stats are relatively easy to pick out. She comes with a lot of percentage damage. So since you have this, you don't need to build attack. So you can go ahead and go full HP defense and try and be as tanky as possible. This will help you out in your defender role. This will help you out in your runner role. It's going to help you overall just cruising around the map and surviving when you don't have your shield up to protect you. This goes a very long way. I think it's the best and most optimal because I think attack offers very little for you. I do want to add one note is attack is going to do, obviously it'll increase your damage on your basic attacks and whatnot, but it will also increase the heal on your little candies that you drop because your healing does scale off of attack because it does not say otherwise. So all heals are based off of attack, almost always, unless they're directly percentage. Now let's move into some tips and strategy for playing her. Make sure you use your pumpkin for protection. Whether it be defending or taking the flag, you are going to sit there and hide in it. So make sure you press your pumpkin skill and start taking the flag. Most units cannot hit you unless they have the ability to hit through walls, which is a lot of pretty much every Kamusari move that exists in the game. So they'll be able to hit you, but if you have your shield up, you won't be stopped, and most people don't have multiple ways to hit through a wall unless it's someone like Bartholomew Kuma or Hawkeye Mihawk, because no one plays those anymore and they're outdated units, so I doubt you'll run into those. Next, don't sit and defend for too long. Make sure you go and get more flags. You're a disgustingly strong runner and you can take whatever flag you want from wherever on the map from almost anyone. You have very little counters and you can be an absolute monster wherever and whenever you need to. Lastly, heal up off of defenders or your candy if you need it. Now, you're generally usually staying healthy because of your shield, but in the event that you do get hit, make sure you utilize those candies that you drop when you press your skill 2 and hold that around the map. Don't forget, your skill 2 does apply Sing effect to those who are near you when you are using that, so that little cast time is not just for nothing. Now let's talk about the Uta Pros. She is a defender and a runner, which is one of the best combos, in my opinion, in the game. Now, I think Bandai is kind of going, I mean, this makes sense, but Bandai goes with, if they are a class-changing character, their primary role is obviously role that they're given initially. So Uta is a runner. She's best at running, but she does do some capabilities of a defender. Whereas if you look at Olin, she's primarily a defender, and she's better at defending, but she is capable of being a runner. So kind of the reverse of Olin is what Uta is. Now, has the ability to take flags while the enemies are on it, which I think is the most toxic trait in the game, but it exists and it's here to stay, so that is a thing. She is extremely mobile. This is all Uta, by the way. Forget talking about Olin at the moment. She is very mobile with that skill 2 and can move around the flags and hop flag to flag whenever she needs, and it also drops candies for either you or your allies to go back and pick up. She has very short cooldowns, especially when taking flags gives her cooldowns. She has the ability to defend and attack flags with the pumpkin, which she can use this pumpkin and it'll go on whatever flag is nearest to her, so whichever one you have your sights on, you go ahead and use that. It's actually fantastic, and I'm excited for more abilities like this that revolve around being to the closest flag that you are at. You also have a good chunk of percentage damage, so you can wither some people down even if they're extremely tanky. You can charge flags to 150%. You are also a shield user. Yeah, this list is rather extensive in case you've not caught on, hence being one of the most broken busted units in the entire game. She has the ability to rejuvenate her shield very easily by either taking flags or pressing her skill 2 and holding that along. She is constantly giving herself a shield, so it's like one time you bust her shield open, then boom, she gets it back just again. So very obnoxious to deal with. Can be very frustrating if you are playing against her. And lastly, her candy heals, which is very nice because it's not just healing you, it is also healing your allies if they choose to pick it up or need it. So a long list of pros, and let's dive into some cons. Okay, looking at some Uta Cons. I'll be real, this list is not very extensive. First one is you're not very tanky as a defender, so that's just the first thing. As I said, don't sit there and stay defending on your flag. I think you're meant to take a flag, charge it up, and move on to the next one. Don't sit there and try and defend if someone else is coming to run over to it, especially if they're a pretty damagey type of attacker or runner. You can just give it up and just move to the next one. Just drop your pumpkin and you can go and move to the next flag because you're probably faster than whoever it is you're fighting. Next, you have no sustain with no defenders that you're fighting. So you only heal off of defenders or your candy. That's the only two ways you can sustain yourself. So if you're not spitting out the candy, if you're not fighting a defender, you're not going to heal. So just be wary of that when you are playing her. That's your pretty much main only two cons. You are, I guess, vulnerable to status effects if you have that. So watch out for that if you don't have your shield. So someone can inflict you with an immobilizing status effect that can finish you off, if so be it. Now let's talk about the characters you beat. Finally, we have a really good counter. I mean, we've had a Jabra as a counter to S-Snake, but this is a good runner counter to S-Snake. So it's unfortunate because you've noticed there's one absolute monstrosity of a unit, and in order to counter that absolute monstrosity, they have to put out another worse absolute monstrosity. So it started with someone like Blackbeard, then they had to do Blue Big Mom, then they had to do Green Gold Roger. Then it's just escalated from there, and then it was Dark Roger was the last one. And in order to counter Dark Roger, we had to do S-Snake, and now in order to stop S-Snake, we had to put out Uta. So it's just getting worse and worse, and the power creep is climbing at an exponential rate, in my opinion. It's disgusting. It's like if you're not playing the main 10 meta units, you're probably screwed. Sorry, let's get back to the characters that you beat. So you have the light units. Anything that's light, that's probably where the rest of my list is going to go. There's probably a bunch of other units that you beat because you've been power crept so hard. If you're watching this video at a later date, I'm sure Uta's probably well power crept by now as well because they've probably put out a bunch of counters for her. Anyways, you have light shanks, light units as a whole, so someone like Light Whitebeard, someone like Egghead Zoro, those units she destroys easily. Next, let's talk about the Uta counters. What can you use right now to defeat her? The first and foremost and your best bet is going to be Jabra from CP9, the Wolf Boy. He is a multi-hitter, so he can break through the shield as well as break and destroy her. He can one-shot her, so he can put a stop to her very easily and very quickly. So Jabra is going to be your go-to, and I think this is the best option if you're looking to destroy Utas. Your next best option is going to be someone like Green Roger. The problem is you need to break her shield, then you want to Kamisari her. You can one-shot her once you get the attack stacks and once she's not shielded. That's the problem. The only issue with Roger is the fact that you do not have multiple hits to break through the shield easily, so that's going to be your main problem there. I do want to add a quick note about the counters. There are status effectors, and I think they can be viable if there are multiple people out fighting the Uta, but if it's a 1v1, I think Uta still holds her advantage against status effectors. Otherwise, I don't find them to be that much of a counter in 1v1 situations. So only if they're in a group scenario and they can multi-hit their status effects, so someone like potentially Prospero could be a direct counter to Uta. Now let's talk about medal suggestions. I wish these varied more because I wish Bandai would output other medals that could contend and like compete with these other phenomenal medal sets. The best set without a doubt is going to be your Kaido set. Offers way too much. You are a runner, you are a defender, you literally maximize the potential of this medal set to its fullest. You can capture flags, and then when you get on your flag, you'll have the damage increase. So the capture flag gives you skill 1 cooldown. When you take it, so you'll get your pumpkin back faster with the hybrid Kaido one. The second Kaido one, the one in the middle, it gives you damage increase, and then the third one gives you skill 1 cooldown when you get hit. So I think this one is without a doubt the best one for her. Obviously, full HP defense. That's the stats to go on these medals. That one, if you can get that, is going to be optimal. Next is a hard runner focused one. This one is basically focused around getting your skill 2 back. So you get a bunch of skill 2 for capping flags. You'll run around, you get the full cap speed from the medal set on the tags. It works well. You have the Apu, the Snake Man, and the Whole Cake Island Brook medals is what those are. Next is cap speed Dressrosa Luffy. This one just gives you extra cap speed when you're running down those flags. I think this one always works for runners in general, comes with a good amount of tag matches, and gives you a little bit of damage increase on the flag too, but that's not too much of a concern because you're just going to be taking the flag anyways. If you're looking for extra cooldown while you are taking the flag from the enemy, you can feel free to use this all-star set. You have King or Albert, whichever medal that's called. Then you have the Elif Fruit, I think is what that one's called, the Elif medal. And then you have the Jack medal. Those ones give you cooldowns while you're attacking on the enemy flag. So use your skill, get over there. You'll get some extra cooldown while you're taking the enemy's flag. And then the last one, kind of a little bit more memey. I kind of like putting these in for the characters that just come out, kind of when you get a triple color medal set. It just looks really good. And honestly, I think this medal set does look really good. I don't think it is actually that good itself, because this Uta doesn't apply Singe that much, so that middle medal you don't really get to optimize, but the first and the last you do work well with. So this one works well. It only has 2 tags. It has Film Red and it has Paramecia, I think, are the only 2 tags that are on that. So I don't remember exactly what those give off the top of my head, but it's like maybe cap speed and skill 1, I think, is all that is. So don't quote me on that. You can check yourself by looking at those medals, but that is an option if you're an Ultimate Pop Uta Idol fan. I expect to see you guys with that, with how many of you and how much money you have all spent on this unit. Without further ado, you all, that is the end of my guide. I hope you guys found that useful. Uta's an absolute monster and definitely the best unit in the game at this very moment in time. So, where we go in One Piece boundaries from here, I'm not sure, because we're just going to keep power creeping, and if you don't have the newest units within the last 2 or 3 months, you're probably screwed, or it has to be an EX. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Let me know how you guys feel about her down below. I will try to respond to as many comments as possible. And if I missed anything, as always, let me know and I will try and pin it in the comments below. But check out my Twitch, Twitter, and Discord. Links are in the description below. Follow me on Instagram and Twitter. I'm always on those. So hope you guys enjoyed this video. Hope you learned something. I'm your boy Romanpuss. I'm going to be taking off. Yeah, holy! Peace, beautiful people.